Oh, now it's telling me that my live video is starting. So I think I'm good to go. I had to pop out and pop back in, so if that looked a little funny, it doesn't. It almost seems like the communication is delayed. Okay, welcome. We're live. All right, here we go. Welcome. I had to switch over to Facebook and get off of Zoom. I find when I come into the space that there's a lag when I'm looking at myself. It's like a 10-second lag. It drives me nuts. So maybe not the best method for me. Anyways, welcome. I didn't give this very much promotion. I just felt inspired to come on into the group and to talk a little bit about womb and this new moon invitation to sink into our bodies, to sink into deeper connection, to come into a place of sacred pause and recalibration. It is definitely one of like my favorite times of the month. You know, I feel really inspired to share something, and so I'm going to share it. There's just a kind of a memory coming through. My daughter's 13 years old now, but when she was little, Luna, no, don't do that. Luna. Anyways, when she was a baby, when she was probably about 1 or 2 or maybe 3, and I was just stepping onto this path, and that was probably 12 years ago now. I'm almost losing track a little bit. But I stepped onto my sacred path when when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was really feeling that call to live beyond the box of society. That was a long time ago. I was living in the city. And it was a major point of transition for me. So we made this move to the country where we still are, and trying to get her attention. We made this move to the country where we still are, but it was, really flowing with the cyclical, with the cycles of the moon that really allowed me to stay connected to my natural unfolding. It was a really pivotal time, and there was so much change and so much transformation, and I was moving through the initiation of motherhood, and also making this big move from being in the city for 13 years, right, feeling somewhat disconnected, to this path that I was being called to live, and to this move to the country. And so the moon became so instrumental, specifically the new moon became so instrumental. The new moon and the full moon, really, because it becomes this really nourishing kind of ebb and flow, these really nourishing cycles. But it was that one touch point that always brought me home to myself. It was that one place where I could carve sacred space, and that became a really pivotal part of my work with women, was supporting them to connect to themselves, to claim sacred space as they move through major life transformation, and to really harness the power of it for their own soulful evolution. It's still work that I do. But the part that I feel inspired to share, yes, absolutely, the new moon as a touch point, and it still is such a beautiful invitation to sink into this deep connection. The veil between our inner and outer worlds is really thin. The energy is very, very supportive of self-connection, especially for women, because our nature is very cyclical. We have the cycle is built right into us. So the more that we can honor it, and the more that we can flow with it, right, the more that we can move in sync with our natural unfolding. But the other thing that I was feeling really inspired to share, I see someone here. I can't see who you are. I don't know if it'll show that, which sucks. But anyways, please set the frame. I don't know what that means. Oh, I hope it's okay. Anyways, the part that I was really felt inspired to share was in regards to my daughter. And she was quite small, and I was stepping onto my sacred path, and I was very, very devoted to this journey of what it meant to, and way back when, 12 years ago, my first business was called Sacred Feminine Path. And I've changed it and I've rebranded over the years, but it was called Sacred Feminine Path because of that very pivotal time of transformation, of coming home to myself and using the new moon as this really beautiful invitation to sink into myself and to hear my spirit and to stay connected to my natural unfolding, right? And to receive the next steps of guidance that would support my unfolding along my soulful path, but in a very rhythmic and sustainable way. Hey, Barb, welcome. The other thing, though, that I used to do, I'm going to get to the point of my story here. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just feel inspired to share, is that I would invite my daughter, who was quite small, right, maybe 1 or 2, and I know working with moms for a long time, working, having my own daughter, when it was at a pivotal time of really anchoring onto my sacred path, it was hard to find space, right? And so it was hard to claim space. It was hard to find space for self-connection and to really devote myself to my sacred path, right? There was a lot of distractions. But I would invite her into the new moon, this new moon pause. And we can feel it. We can feel the gentleness. We can feel how the energy settles and how there's this invitation to travel within. Oh, I've got this puppy and she almost grabbed my drumstick. And I would invite her into the space, and I would notice that the more I honored that rhythmic kind of invitation to sink in for the new moon, that the more it would just naturally start to build that cyclical flow and trust and ebb within her. And without even knowing over time, she would just naturally gravitate towards wanting to settle into a space of coloring or puzzles. It became a really beautiful point of connection for us. And actually over the years, what I started to notice was that it actually really started to build that point of connection in for her. I just watch her during the new moon kind of start to nest. She just wants to chill and just be. And those rhythms are just naturally there for her because I gave myself full permission to honor that and to invite her into that space with me. So when we work with feminine flow, when we work with seasons, when we work with cycles, it really can be so nourishing and beneficial for the whole family. It really can, and it can really work well. So the other reason, though, that I'm here today is to talk about the womb. I want to open up to the Akashic field. I want to take us on a bit of a mini guided journey. I want to talk a little bit about just cleansing, clearing, what it means to just anchor into the womb, and why is that important for us as women. So you may have heard me, talk about this I talk about this at here and there where I feel inspired, but that was a big part of my journey too, was, the heart was such a beautiful access point for self-connection. And that's really where it began, was opening to self-love, listening to the heart, connecting to the heart, healing the heart chakra. That was a really big part of an access point or an entry point into my sacred feminine path. But over time, as my feminine awakening journey continued to evolve, I sunk deeper and deeper and deeper into my body and into different wisdom centers, right? Really, really connecting and healing the layers and really awakening to the wisdom that was present there. And of course, the womb is one of them. And the womb is one of those wisdom centers for women that can be a little bit challenging. It can sometimes feel a little bit more safe and activating to dwell in some of the higher chakras, the third eye, right? The intuitive center of the third eye, and to really kind of play in some of the higher spiritual realms. But the density of the womb, right? It's we really start to connect the spiritual and the physical in a very powerful way, and specifically for women when we're talking about our sexual health, right? Our sexuality, our sexual organs are there, and we start to move into the density of the womb, right? We can really come up against some of the layers of disconnect, stagnation, healing that's needed, right? We can have some trauma imprinting there. So it's a journey that we travel the spiral into. And, I think one of the simplest and easiest ways to start to anchor into this connection is through carving sacred space, by using the new moon, right, to start to come into a space of connection, because energy flows where our attention goes. Energy flows where our attention goes. So it's like the more we can actually just bring our focus, our love, our attention, and this sense of connection to the womb, right? It's very, very powerful. And the healing and the connection and the awakening of this energy can start to open and flow through our lives. And so what even ends up happening, right, when we start to really access and awaken that energy, right, we start to feel much more anchored, right, in our female vessel, because our essence starts to move from just the heart space to some of the upper wisdom centers, to dropping into the pelvic bowl, to dropping into the lower quadrants of the body. So we show up in a much more powerful, anchored, and embodied way. And when we do that, we're building capacity. We're building capacity to hold more. And that can become very, very beneficial when it comes to how we anchor in the home, right? All of a sudden, instead of feeling really pulled around and doing and giving, we become this anchor in the home. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open up to the Akashic field, and we'll go on a little bit of a journey. We're going to tune in. We're going to do some breath work, and then we'll see what wants to open from there. Whatever I give you today, you can go ahead and absolutely take and integrate into your own sacred practice. And that's the key, is to keep integrating these different tools, these different practices, to really stay connected. So if you're catching the replay, which I'm assuming if most of you will, this puppy was so sleepy when I brought her in here, and now she's just all over. So my invitation is to make it sacred. So I've got some cacao. I put a little bit of cayenne in there. I've got some of my flower essences. Candles are lit. Fireplace is going. I've got some beautiful flowers here. So really bringing and weaving some beauty into the space right now. Making it sacred, making it devotional to you and your sacred path. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, actually, before we start, and I've got a little bit of red rose flower essence. I'm going to put that in my cacao. So if you want to go ahead and grab, something yummy to drink, go ahead. If you're here joining me live, say hello. Okay, lay down, Luna. All right. I've got a rose incense. I'm going to light that. All right. So my invitation is to go ahead and close your eyes and drop your chin, and we're just going to start to center in. And then I've got my rattle. Closing your eyes, dropping your chin, you can go ahead and just start to notice what you notice in the environment around you. Any scents, any sounds. Bringing your focus to your breath and to your body. Giving your body a light scan. Just noticing what you notice about your body. And with that, going ahead and taking a breath in through the nose, down into the energetic womb space, and then up and out through the mouth. And we're going to do that breath 2 more times, bringing it to the count of 3. I'm going to go ahead and call down the temples of divine love, light, truth, abundance, wisdom, and power, asking that to descend, grow, and expand around us, calling in our guides, masters, angels, teachers, goddesses, guardians to be present, and for truth and accuracy to be obtained for the highest good of those here today and those who will be listening to this in the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Asking this to be a divinely protected space where only the highest frequencies of love and light shall exist. Banishing all negative influences, should there be any. We're going to go ahead and call in Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, and we're also going to ask for any cords, hooks, or energetic attachments that are running from our chakra system to anyone else's chakra system, that those cords now be cleared. Cords, hooks, or energetic attachments now be cleared. And you can go ahead and see Archangel Michael's cobalt blue sword just kind of scan over the chakra system, cleansing, clearing the chakra system. And specifically, you want to see Archangel Michael with the cobalt blue sword, just kind of really running it, over the sacral. Any cords, hooks, or energetic attachments sitting at the level of the pelvic bowl, at the sacral. We're going to go ahead and bring our focus to the energetic womb space, seeing it fill up with the most beautiful nectar-like orange energy. So we'll go ahead and see that nectar-like orange energy continue to circle through, swish, circle, cleansing, clearing through the pelvic bowl. Seeing it cleansing, healing, rejuvenating, activating the pelvic bowl. We're going to continue to see all of that beautiful light continue to swish, swirl, bringing it down through the core of the body, down through all the layers of earth and crust and soil and root and rock, right down to the core of Mother Earth. And we're going to let all of that light start to grow roots into the core of Mother Earth. And as we let those roots grow into the core of Mother Earth, we're going to simultaneously just start to allow anything and everything that we may be complete with at the level of the energetic womb. And we're going to see that all begin to travel down that golden light down into the core of Mother Earth, and seeing it all release and transmute into and through the core of Mother Earth. Allowing those roots to continue to grow deep, deep, deep into the core of Mother Earth. So there's a simultaneous release, and then we're just allowing ourselves to continue to let our body weight drop and drop and drop until we feel fully held by the beauty, abundance, and power of Mother Earth. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and to the core of Mother Earth, we're just going to start to visualize this beautiful kind of golden light start to swish and swirl around the roots of that beautiful orange light. And we're going to call on all that beautiful Gaian Shakti energy. I like to say it 3 times. So Shakti, Shakti, Shakti. And we're going to see all of that delicious Shakti energy start to swish and swirl at the roots. And we're going to see it begin to travel up through all the layers of earth and crust and soil and root and rock, back up. And we're going to see it come through the bottoms of the soles, or you can see it kind of come up through the perineum, through the pelvic floor, and just taking a breath in and meeting all that delicious energy right in the pelvic bowl, right in the sacral. And then on the exhale, we're going to allow all that light and all that energy to flow and circulate through the body. And you can even take your hands and just kind of, right, you're just like just feeling that energy move through your body. We're going to do that breath 2 more times, right? Calling that Shakti energy from the core of Mother Earth, seeing it travel up through all the layers, through the bottoms of the feet, through the pelvic bowl. We're going to go ahead and see it come into the pelvic bowl, through the pelvic floor and into the pelvic bowl, taking a breath in and meeting that energy there, and then breathing out. And seeing that energy circulate through your whole entire body. Doing it one more time, bringing our focus down to the core of Mother Earth, seeing that Shakti energy swish, swirl, and awaken, bringing it up through all the layers of earth and crust and soil, through the bottoms of the feet or through the pelvic floor, taking a breath in, meeting it in the pelvic bowl. And then on the exhale, just allowing all that energy to circulate and move through the entire body. And now we're going to go ahead and just start to connect and start to move some energy just through some pleasure breathing, just pleasure breathing. We want to connect the heart to the womb. That's an important connection that we want to make. So let's go ahead and start to take a breath in of love through the heart space, down into the energetic womb, and then we're going to breathe up and out. And I like to use my hands, so I'll put a hand on the heart, hand on the womb. And we'll do that breath 2 more times, bringing it to the count of 3. Breathing in through the nose. Down into the womb and up and out through the mouth. Bringing our focus to the heart space, we'll go ahead and see the magenta rose bloom open, and from there allowing the golden grid of the flower of life to begin to expand and swirl from the heart space located at the center of the chest. We're going to let that pure wisdom and high frequency light, the radiant divine substance of all of creation that's interwoven into all of life, begin to permeate and infuse itself within us, out from us, and all around us into the Akashic field. We're going to let that light continue to grow, expand, and interpermeate with the physical and non-physical reality that exists before us, all around us, and within us. Continuing to see that light flow, flower, and expand. We're going to then see, sense, feel as the doors to the Akasha and all the light, love, and wisdom of the Akasha open to us now. And so it is. And so it is, and so it is. So let's go ahead, and I'm actually seeing the ancestors are really, really close tonight. And there's an ancestor, and it's almost like we're being invited to connect into our own lineage, our own feminine lineage. And there's this invitation to bring awareness to the womb and the connection to our own feminine lineage. So, and I'm seeing, like, it's not one ancestor in particular, but there's an ancestor, and she's got her hand placed gently on the womb. And I just want to kind of tune in, because it's almost like there's some messages. There's some messages in and around what exactly that means. So just give me 1 second here. I'm going to tune in. And as I'm looking at this ancestor, and so you can go ahead and, if it feels good to you, you can go ahead and visualize an ancestor or a loved one or an angelic being or whatever feels good to you. But the visual that I'm seeing is some loving, loving, benevolent being who has her hand over the womb space, and there is a golden light pouring through her hand into the energetic womb space. And it's loving, it's compassionate, it's nourishing, it's radiant. It's very, very healing, very, very healing. And it's very it's very grounding. I'm specifically, my focus is being brought to the right side of the womb and the ovaries, which is really interesting. Okay, and now I'm catching it, but I kind of noticed it at the top when I was really starting to notice her. But it's definitely showing up on the right side, the right quadrant of the womb and the ovaries, which is really connected to more of the like masculine or like fire component of the creative kind of output connected to the womb and the ovaries. So there's some message in there, and it's almost like she's got a gentle hand, like on like, again, the right side. And there's an invitation too to even place your own hand. You can place your hand on your womb, but specifically there's an invitation to place your right hand on the ovary and on the womb and on the right side. And there's this invitation to tune in. We can do that. We can tune in. We can feel. You could even put your left hand on your left ovary and feel the difference. Because my sense is that she's talking about balance, and yeah, she's definitely like an ancestor, like an ancient one. And she's talking about overexertion. Like this overexertion, like how when we do too much, when we have too many creative projects on the go, when we're holding too much creatively, when there's too much outward energy, what happens is that we actually start to, what's the word? We start to, it's not sustainable, but we start to burn out, right? We start to deplete. That's the word. We start to deplete the energetic resources that we have available. And the ovaries are like that, the beautiful kind of like cyclical, like creative fire. So there's something about overexertion, depletion, too many creative projects, being more out when we actually need to be able to honor the invitation to sink in, which is, where bleed time or the new moon is such a beautiful invitation to sink into that space of recalibration. I'm just going to go ahead and listen to what else wants to come through. And while I'm doing that, just continue to really direct the flow of energy. You can even kind of warm up the palms of your hands, but just directing the flow of energy to specifically the right quadrant of the womb. And I'm going to tune in and see what else wants to come through as I guide this journey. So the other message that's coming through, so as I'm tuning in, I'm now seeing like the ancient, like there's a very, very ancient feel coming in, and this ancient grandmother, ancient ancestor, and loving her presence. But I'm also feeling this sense of community, of connection, and of sisterhood. And that feels really important too, in terms of where and how we ask for support, where and how we receive support, right? And how that sisterhood, that connection to sisterhood, actually really holds us and supports us when it comes to showing up in a really nourished and from a very nourished kind of like reservoir. So all of a sudden I'm seeing like this old community. It's very small, but I'm seeing like the sisterhood start to like gather, right? This like beautiful sisterhood. And the sisterhood is like full of love. So I'm still seeing, and you can even see yourself, at the center of this circle. And maybe there's an ancient one and she has her hand over your womb and it's very loving and very compassionate and very supportive just to receive, right? Just to receive at this level. But now I'm feeling just this like interconnectedness with like the sisterhood. And all of the love, there's like this immense amount of like love from like the sisterhood, right? That's being directed at you. And so this is really, it's different. I never know what's going to come up during these guided journeys, and I'm totally rolling with it, but I absolutely love how it is coming through. So in this space though, there's this sense of like receptivity, like allowing ourselves to receive love, allowing ourselves to receive support, but it's actually specifically like from other women, right? In a space of community. And how much that really nourishes us. So just allowing yourself to receive and feel supported by that love, by that space of connection. And so I know that for some of you, that can feel really, that there can be layers to that, right? In terms of the sisterhood wound, and maybe where we have felt isolated, or maybe where we have felt the burn of competition, or maybe where we have felt the criticism or harshness from another sister who's been in pain for whatever reason. But there's something in this guided visual that actually wants to open us up to like the felt sense of what would it be like? What would it be like to feel so held by the women in our community? Right? And it creates that beautiful kind of ebb and flow, that beautiful balance of giving and receiving. And where we can give and then also receive. And as I'm saying this too, this sense of like where we can give and also receive, like within sisterhood, right? Where we can give and also receive, and how nourishing it is. And how at the very beginning of this guided journey, we were talking about the right ovary and that depletion, right? And then being too much out in the world, right? And there's this invitation to sink into that energy of giving, yes, but also receptivity, of supporting others, but allowing ourselves to feel supported and to be supported by others, right? But I realize too that there can be wounding around that. The invitation in this space is to just allow yourself to feel what would it feel like? What would it feel like? So that we can actually start to kind of get a felt sense in our body over the possibility of what it would be or feel like to be supported like this. So I'm just gonna tune in and listen and see where it wants to go. I'm gonna see where our body wants to take us. Okay, so I'm immediately being drawn to a fire. And it's a huge, like, beautiful, I've said the word beautiful so many times during this transmission today, but there's a huge fire at the center of all of these sisters, right? It's huge. And there's this invitation there's something that wants to be cleared. There's something that wants to be cleared so that we can open up to a new understanding of how nourishing sisterhood gets to feel, right? Of how nourishing sisterhood gets to feel, how we can lift others up and others can lift us up, right? And that's how the sisterhood continues to grow, continues to flourish, and how it actually starts to really create a powerful ripple effect. Because it's not just about ourselves, it's about how we're lifting others up as we rise up. So the fire, so let's go to the fire, because there's some invitation there to burn away the old, right? Such as the invitation is when we move through these gateways, right? These sacred pauses. It allows us to recalibrate. So there's something some invitation I'm going to tune into. What are you ready to let go of? Like, what shackles are you ready to let go of? What perception of yourself are you ready to let go of that just really doesn't serve you? Right? Like, it's what have we built into our self-identity that doesn't really serve this new emerging sense of self? Right? Particularly, I mean, we're only a couple months into the year. We're only a couple months into the year, but that's, I was talking at the very beginning of this, I'll call it a transmission, and I was sharing how some of the major life transitions, specifically living in the city and making that move to the country, and my daughter was quite small, it was the moon that became a really pivotal time of inward connection where I would get the next steps, where it would keep me connected to self, right? Where it would start to really lay the groundwork for the new trajectory through change and transformation, through change and transition, which can sometimes be really challenging and confusing. So here we are in February. We're still relatively new into the year, but there's this invitation to, what doesn't serve us at this through this sacred pause, through this new moon gateway, right? What doesn't serve you? And so whatever doesn't serve you, whatever you're so tired with or done with, there's this invitation to throw it into the fire. To throw it into the fire. And so you can do that, and you can just see whatever it is, and we'll go ahead and we'll gather it up in the core of our body. We're going to gather it up in the core of our body, and we're going to allow all of it to kind of turn into just this sparkly dust. And this sparkly dust, we're just going to see it start to be magnetized to the fire, allowing it all to be transmuted in the Akashic field. But I also want you to bring, your palms, not your palms, your hands to the womb space. And just in front of the womb, you can't see me. I don't want to move my my camera because it'll make it fuzzy. We just want to start to kind of anything else that you're ready to release from the level of the womb. We want to kind of scoop it out. And we're just going to kind of scoop it out through the womb and through the energy bodies that surround the body. And so we're just scooping it out, scooping it out, scooping it out, doing some cleansing and clearing at the level of the womb this way. So just anything and everything we're ready to release, everything we're complete with, right? This is a cycle of creation completes, so we get to clear out the old, and we want to do that so that we don't feel stagnant, we don't feel weighted, we don't feel depleted, right? What are you ready to get rid of? And actually, as I'm saying that, really, what are you ready to get rid of? We talked about, the right ovary and depletion. Are there any creative projects that you're ready to close out? Is there anything in your to-do list that you just need to take off so that you can start to flow from a space of lightness and ease? Beautiful. Releasing toxic family dynamics and memories of trauma. Oh, yeah, for sure. And there's so many layers to that, but I think that the awareness and the openness and the claiming of it definitely starts to transmute and release layers. Absolutely. Definitely witnessing that now. Beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and just do one more brief clearing technique. We're going to go up to a gold door about 50 feet above our head. We're going to see a beautiful gold light cascade down, 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 in through the top of the head. And we're going to see that beautiful gold sparkly light cascade down into the pelvic bowl. And you can go ahead and just see it do a very light, gentle, but beautiful sweep of the pelvic bowl. Okay, and it's just going to cleanse, clear, renew the pelvic bowl. And when that feels complete, you can just see everything that's ready to be transmuted from that space go up and out through the top of the head, back to the gold door where it is all transmuted and released fully back to source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and thank the guides, guardians, masters, angels, teachers who have been a part of this experience today. That beautiful ancient grandmother, thanking her. So just taking a moment and bringing your focus back into the pelvic bowl. You want to just like place your hands on your pelvic bowl. Take a moment to just tune in, to see, sense, feel. Sending love to the pelvic bowl. Just taking a moment to drop into that connection. Bringing your focus to your body, to your breath, and then to this present moment reality, space-time reality. And we're going to know now that the clearing, healing, intentions, activations, everything that's open today, it's going to continue to unfold into completion, and the door between the worlds is now closed, and so it is, and so it is. Beautiful. So I'll be back in and out over the next week or two, sharing different tools, practices, and wisdom teachings around womb-led leadership. And if you want to take this deeper, the doors to my Evolutionary Mama 10-week multidimensional womb awakening and Akashic family matrix recalibration program is open. Spots are filling. I'm only taking 10 women through this cohort. The early savings are on right now, and if this is something you feel called to step into, I'm going to place the link below, and my inbox is open if you want to reach out and have a conversation around how this could serve you. But otherwise, I'm sending you so much new moon love, and I shall talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.